Hello, hello, hello. We are back with another episode of the Jane Wareham podcast. And as you know, I love a guest. And I have an amazing guest today, Daria Astanaeva, and she is a personal branding coach. Her and I connected through a mutual community, and here we are. And this is really exciting because I cannot wait for her to share her story with you all. And she is going to talk specifically about personal branding, which whether you're an entrepreneur or not, this is going to be really insightful. And so, Daria, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Jane. I am so freaking excited. I absolutely love everything that you do. I love your personal brand. So I feel like I would love to see your insight incorporated into our chat as well, because you are such a social media goddess, as we all know. So, woohoo! Super
Aw,
stuff.
that's so sweet. I love design, but I recently, let's say in the last 6 months, really tapped into who I want to be, how I want to show up, what look I want to convey. And even we'll dive into that. I don't want to go into too many details. Before we get into that, firstly, listeners, if this is your first time here, thank you. Thank you for being here, taking time out of your probably very busy schedule to work on yourself, to learn something new. And honestly, Daria, I know about you, but I am always listening to some of my favorite podcasters. I'm always consuming information. I always want to learn and grow. So we're thankful that you are here. If you are a returning listener, you know I love you. So thank you so much again for being here. So let me tell you a little bit more about Daria. So I mentioned that Daria is a branding coach, and she truly helps service providers and content creators build a profitable personal brand on Instagram with under 10K following. So I remember, Daria, when we first had a chat, something that we really resonated with me that you were talking about that we'll get into today is following, because I think that can be so misleading. And I think as a business owner, anyone really, even if you're not a business owner, you might get wrapped up thinking, yeah, well, I don't have that much. I don't have many following. You might have under 1,000. You might have under 3,000, 5,000. And I just know there's something about this 10K number that like everyone wants. And thank the Lord, thank whomever up there, the universe, that I have moved past that, because that was something I struggled with. But before we dive into that, why don't you share with everyone a little bit more about you? Share, a bit on your journey and how did you get to where you are today?
Love it. Absolutely love it. Oh my God, I'm so excited about all the things that we will talk about. But yes, let's start with my journey. So I've been running my business full time for the past 2 years. I started in 2022. And the thing that made me transition from a full-time employee, I was running an influencer marketing department, absolutely loved my job. And this is how I kind of transitioned from an influencer marketing in the personal branding coaching space, was my mindset. Here you go, of course. Because for me, I always knew that I wanted to do something else. And so I'm coming from a family of entrepreneurs. And when I just came to Canada, I'm originally from Russia. And just realizing that if I want to build this like a Canadian dream life, that would look like working 40 hours a week with a 2 weeks vacation. And for me, it takes 3 days to get home, and I'm from like a very, very small hometown in Russia. So I went there a couple of times while I was fully employed. And then I realized that like it would take me 6 days to fly back and forth from Canada to Russia, and I only have 2 weeks vacation. There is no way I could continue doing it for until I'm 65, while also enjoying a travel with my husband, with my friends, with my sisters, because it's just unrealistic. And this was the very first time I realized that something is not really right about the systems, and like something is not what I thought the success looks like. It's not really what I wanted my success to look like. So I'm naturally a very overthinking imposter syndrome. Hello, very much me. So for me to realize that I want to step into this entrepreneurship journey was a very, very hard thing to accept. And the very first person who made me realize that this is something that I actually want to do was my husband, because he asked me this question that if I knew that I couldn't fail, what would I do? And immediately said, well, I would definitely go and open my business and go all in, because like, what's the point? And guess what? The next day I registered my consulting business and decided to go. I didn't go all in because I'm very much the space needs to be safe kind of person. But I did start working on my own Instagram, transitioning it from a personal page into a personal brand, which was a very, very hard thing for me. And claiming up the space that this is something that I actually do, this is how I can help people, and this is something that I can do with my own skills and my own knowledge. However, I didn't start really in the personal branding coaching space. I started in influencer marketing consulting space, where I was helping influencers to work with brands. And then I was consulting brands on how to work with influencers, because I've been in influencer marketing space for like 2 to 3 years before I went full time, all in with my business. So this is where my primary business and my primary thinking process was existing. However, on my Instagram, what I didn't realize that I was building a community that didn't really want to start working in influencer marketing space per se as I thought, because I didn't ask. I assumed with my I know what kind of my audience needs. I'm not gonna ask them. I don't need their research. I just see like a couple of people here and there. So I created an influencer marketing academy, and it was like a super, super intense academy. And I definitely went beyond just my journey, and I started talking about the biggest mistakes that I've done as a business owner, but hopefully that was your next question.
This is perfect.
So I created an online course. I invested, like, I'm not gonna lie, I invested over $15,000 into creating this program. I hired an assistant, and half of her time was to help me build this whole thing. I was creating an agenda. I was creating an online course. I was creating all of this like live stuff for 6 months, all in, like at least 30 hours every single week. I hired a group of designers. I did all of this work to make it perfect. And I actually just looked at the data a couple of days ago to see how much money I actually made, instead of just assuming. I made $600 out of this program. I invested $15,000 and then I made $600. And to say that I was devastated was an understatement. My mind immediately went to, well, I'm a freaking failure, and I should just go back to my 9 to 5 because I'm clearly absolutely useless. And like all of this negative self-talk. Well, you're a mindset coach, like you obviously know how everything works. And the thing that I failed to do is to ask my audience what they actually needed. And once I started talking to my community, but also when I invested into a coach myself, and when I started working with someone who helped me guide through the process, they helped me realize that like the niche is right and the brand positioning is right, and all of the stuff that I shared in the academy that I spent so much time and money and other resources to create, everything is right outside of the requests. The request that my audience had wasn't there how they can become influencer marketing specialists so they can get hired and work for different companies to work with influencers. It was how they can become content creators and start working with brands. And this little flip, like literally just changing the language, because the materials, the knowledge, it was all pretty much the same. Once I made this flip, I had a $17,000 launch 2 months afterwards, and it cost me probably $100 to make, because I was just delivering all of the knowledge via Zoom. I created a group chat on Instagram. It was like a very, very much, let's just get it done and we are good. And I feel like as a business owners, we tend to focusing on perfection because we want to deliver and we want to over deliver all of this like great things, but realizing that just delivering a good enough online program and offer any of the stuff that you want, just good enough in your world, would probably mean a perfect, incredible
Yeah,
50
mind blowing. Yeah.
mind-blowing product for somebody else, because your mark is probably so much higher than everybody else's. So yeah, that was definitely a very big thing that I had to unlearn, relearn, and then learn again.
That's really interesting that we tend to focus on what we think our audience wants because what we love to talk about or what we love to coach on. So when you got more curious about what they wanted, explain like a bit of that process. Were you like asking them in Instagram stories? Were you doing like polls? Were you I know for me something I found really helpful was I knew that there was, like I got a couple cheerleaders that I know are watching me very closely. And I talked to them, right, in DMs and stuff like that. And I had put together like 6 things and I asked, what do you struggle? What do you find the most challenging for you? And it was like, and what was interesting is I wrote 6 and I said, do not feel limited to this list. Feel free to add. And then, I got all these extra things and it really helped me to understand, okay, majority of people are struggling with money mindset, are struggling with this, with that. Because I can assume that they want to hear one thing. But so how did you go about doing that?
Well, I couldn't agree more with you that it's like we tend to focus so much on the inside. For me, I have the habit of doing market research every single quarter because I already made a mistake of assumption. Assumptions do not get you far. And so I ask on Instagram stories, I do a poll once a quarter, every single time, where I literally ask people, what is your goal with your personal brand? What is your biggest challenge? And if you could hire me right now, how could I serve you at this very moment? So like I always ask the 3 questions, and then sometimes I had some stuff at the beginning, like asking them like, or do you work like a full-time as a side gig, or you're a full-time business owner, you're a student, like stuff like that. But it's more for me to figure out where their financial capacity lays and like what does it look like. Of course, it's like super, super general, but like it does give you a brief overview. And I also do lots of discovery calls. I know for especially lots of people in my niche, they tend to be so opposite, like, oh, here's how you can make $50,000 without doing discovery calls. And like, sure, you can do it, but it only works when you are crystal clear in the messaging that you have on your page and then that you have on your products as well. But if you're creating a new product, and I constantly create something new, I do need to have this connection with my community and the people that I work with, because what I can assume, again, assumption, which is not going to get you really far, I can assume that this is the solution that they need. And then I tend to overcomplicate things like quite a lot because I feel like they need to have like my 100% of information, but what they need is just 10% of the information that they have. And for me to taking a step back and realizing that, well, they have this specific problem and they need this specific solution. They don't need another problem and another solution on top of that they can deliver. They just need like this one simple thing. And for me, discovery calls that I do, they help me so much with it, simply because like, okay, you don't know how to post consistently on Instagram. Here is a workshop about how to do it. It's only 90 minutes. Like, of course, I will include some steps that I think that they need to do, but it's not going to be, here's how you can post consistently on Instagram. And here is also a tutorial about how to build this very big lead generation funnel, because there will be, of course, it will be overwhelmed. So having this like understanding of where your audience is and meeting them at the same level instead of assuming that they are already at the level where you are, and delivering them from your perspective. I feel like that's the hardest part, honestly, as being business owners, being a coach, as being an entrepreneur, because you already have so much knowledge and you feel like what you do is so easy. It's like everybody knows about it. It's like it's a common knowledge that you need to do X, Y, and Z. Because Jane, I'm sure that in your business and in your practice stuff that you do, there is so many stuff that for you, they're just so seamless and so easy to do, but that's probably the biggest request that are coming from your client because they don't know how you do it. And they just they just need you to show them, like any like imposter syndrome, overthinking. For you, that probably it's like it's already, a piece of cake. You're not really thinking about it at this point. But for your audience, it's such a big mountain that they need to climb, and they don't need to have 17 mountains ahead to climb. They just need to focus on this one. And I feel like when you have and you do like this audience analysis and research, and it doesn't sound sexy, and for most people it doesn't sound exciting, but this is the foundational groundwork of when you're building your personal brand, when you're building any products that you want to build, understanding where your client is or student, whatever capacity you work with, and meeting them at this level where they are instead of trying to meet them at your level.
No, that's so key. And I think too, as coaches, we have so many like modalities, strategies, tools, like trainings to offer our clients that everyone's journey is going to look different. And you're totally right, because I shared something in an Instagram story about a comment my dad made and about my pictures on my website. And it was funny because it sparked a conversation with a woman that I've done she's worked with me a little bit, and I know she's like a dream type client, like she's an ideal type client, and sparked a conversation. And she said to me, like, I just wish I was at your level. And what she meant is like my mindset, like where my mindset is and how I don't let people's opinions, is even my family's, like bother me anymore. And it's like, I have grown a lot to not be my way or the highway. It's everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but it's all mental growth. It's all work I've done on myself since like 2020. And so it's just interesting because it's true. Because she was like, yeah, I wish I was at your level. Like I love having you in my corner because, I'm closely connected with her. And it just is so interesting because I'm like, I'm like, okay. But yeah, you never even know. Like I just shared this post on my dad thought photos on my website didn't look like me. And it's just funny because he visualizes me as an 8-year-old, and I'm 39. And so I've grown, and he doesn't see my Instagram. He doesn't see all that growth. He just imagines me when I was younger. So it's kind of funny, but okay. So let's talk a little bit about personal branding. So like, what does that even mean? And like, as an entrepreneur or even just an individual, like we all technically have a personal brand. Like we are all uniquely us. What does that exactly mean?
Oh, I love it. Every single time people ask me, I'm like, oh my God, such a juicy conversation coming up. So your personal brand is an assumption that people make about you. Your personal brand doesn't happen in your brain. It happens in other people's brains. That's it. If you don't build your personal brand, you don't control the narrative of what people assume about you. But if you build your personal brand, you control the narrative and you control the assumptions. Like, for example, if I didn't build my personal brand, stuff that people could assume about me that I'm, and like the very first key thing that come to mind could be like that I'm an immigrant. I am, like, I don't know, like I have a husband. I live in Vancouver, like all of the basic stuff. But because I control the narrative on my social media, stuff that comes up is personal branding coaching, how to grow on social media, how to build a business on social media, all of the social media stuff. Even for my friends, we were just laughing about this. Like whenever I think about algorithm, social media, you come to my mind immediately. And like, yeah, because I've been posting about it for 2 freaking years, every single day. And I programmed your brain whenever you're thinking about how do I grow on social media, like any like social media questions, I come to your mind. This is it. And this is what like this is basically the process of building your personal brand, where you are communicating your key messages that you want to be communicated. Nothing else and nothing more. If you want to be known as a photographer, as a family photographer, like in Vancouver, for example, you show up as a wedding photographer in Vancouver. And this is the only thing that you talk about. This is what you show up as. You show your life as a photographer in Vancouver. You show in your morning routine. You show like your, I don't know, like evening routines, weekend stuff, like as a wedding photographer living in Vancouver, Canada. And this is what personal brand is. And even if you don't have or you don't want to build your presence on social media, your personal brand exists even outside of it, because people might still exist outside of social media, but they're going to build their own assumptions about you based on the observations that they have seen you do or they have seen you talk about. It's still going to happen. But with social media, very, very luckily, we now can control this narrative.
Oh my God. I love this. I didn't expect that you were going to say that it's other people's assumptions of us. And I just freaking love that because it's very closely aligned to self-image, because self-image, our own self-image is not what we think. It's not who we think we are. It's not who others necessarily think we are. It's who we think other people think we are.
Yes.
That one you might need to like re-listen to that, because that one is like takes a second to wrap your head around. But it's true, like who we tend to show up as is, yeah, who we think other people think we should be. And but that's so interesting. And I think, that's almost like for anyone listening, take a fucking breath. It's like, wow, okay, I have the power here. I get to dictate the narrative. And I think the hard part, you might agree, what I'm thinking here is that the hard part would be early on, or when we make a pivot, right? When we pivot, I like to say evolve, but when we evolve and all of a sudden we need to be someone else. And I know for myself, from being a project manager, my Instagram being my personal life, into turning into a business where it's like all of a sudden, whoa, I'm showing up as this personal trainer, group fitness instructor. Then all of a sudden that stopped. And then I'm showing up as a life coach. And I even struggled to say mindset expert at the beginning. I was like, am I? You know what I mean? Like I am. But I love this because, beyond the imposter syndrome, beyond the self-doubt, everyone, you have the power to create the narrative you want. And that even got me thinking, I'm like, whoa, okay, because I know where I want to be positioning myself now. And I'm making some big changes because I'm going back to be all into my business once and for all. Like, this is it. As of Friday, my contract's done. And so it's like big changes. And it's exactly like, okay, I mean, I've already been showing up, and I show up in my business, and I'm business first. Like, my business is my first thing. My other thing was a side hustle. But, now I'm reevaluating, and I'm thinking about the impact that I've made in corporate and corporate mindset work and stuff, but the impact I want to make moving forward. And it's really about like, okay, who do I want to be? Who do I need to be? And who do I want to represent myself as? So that is like fascinating.
I know, that's always like so exciting. And like one of my favorite things is try to start posting like you've already got it.
Yeah.
Like if you want to build your business, I don't know, like as a makeup artist, for example, and you're just starting out, to your point, you just pivoted your Instagram, your business from a personal page to a personal brand, start posting with confidence, like you have already like the amount of followers you want, the amount of clients that you want, all of the stuff, because people, whether you like it or not, people are attracted to confidence. And you claiming up the space that like, this is what I do now, it's absolutely incredible. And to your point, this is the hardest part, 100%. When you're building your personal brand, nothing is going to be as hard and as challenging and as discouraging and demotivating as the first steps from taking your Instagram from a personal page to a personal brand. Because this is the part where we start overthinking, where we don't have enough support typically for us to push forward, because we feel so weird, we feel so cringe, we feel like everybody is just like, oh my God, it's like so weird. And like, yeah, this journey is gonna be weird and it's gonna be awkward. And you're probably gonna cringe at every single stuff that you create, but this is part of it. Because it's a new things that you do. And like posting on Instagram and talking about your talking about your brand, talking about your services, your clients is not a natural thing. It's not something that you are just born to do. And you're like, well, all I will do is like promote myself on social media. It's not a natural behavior. So of course it's
Mhm.
going to be weird, especially if you're coming from a like a corporate background where it's like you do the work and then you expect like a manager to give your title and like you are like somebody else claims that this is your title, you deserve it, you earned it. When you're building your personal brand on social media, nobody is gonna come and give you the title of an expert, of a coach, of like a mentor, whatever. You need to be the one to tell people that this is what I do, this is the problems that I know how to solve, come to me. Because oh my god, I remember the first time I wrote in my bios that I'm a personal branding coach. I had probably like 2,000, 1,800 followers at this point, and I just looked at it and I thought like, oh my God, this is the most embarrassing moment of my life, because how can I claim to be a personal branding coach? Like, I have nothing. I work with like 5 clients and I have no ground to base that I am a personal branding coach. And to me, that was like the hardest part to figure out, not to figure out, but like allow myself to claim this spot and allow myself to name it so other people can learn how they can address me and what kind of problems and issues I can help them solve. That was, I feel like that is the hardest part, 100%.
And I think something this comes up a lot. This come up a lot for me in the last few years. I think something that we don't realize, especially when you're starting out. So we discount and devalue and just forget about all our own personal life experience. We are our best use case. You know, we are our best testimonial, but we can't write a testimonial about ourselves. So we can simply talk about the transformations. We can talk about, how we got from point A to point B, the challenges we had, the struggles we had. That's all we can really do. But I know, and coaches I've worked with and my coach now continuously tells us, like, because we might be launching a new type program, right? In an area that like is something we haven't really spoken about, but we're breaching into it. It doesn't mean we're not experts in that. It's just a matter of, yeah, maybe we haven't had a client go through the program yet, but we know that the tools work. We know that that all works. And that's always the scariest thing, launching something right away. So I think for like listeners and entrepreneurs, if you're starting out and you're worried about that, you're worried, oh, I haven't done this with anyone. It's like, think about how you've done it for yourself and talk about that transformation. You also don't need to specifically say it's you, like you can, of course. It's not lying. You're not saying, oh, I've helped hundreds of people. You're saying this is a transformation that's possible when you're in my energy. This is what's possible for that. And I like that you said you encourage everyone to show up like it's already yours. This is exactly how you start to manifest things. This is how mindset works. When I write out affirmations, you're saying it like it's already yours. I write out a goal like I already have it. And it's like, I am so happy and grateful now that I insert your thing. So, anyone listening, you want a goal statement like, I am so happy and grateful now that I have or am, I am a sought after, I had previously like a sought after mindset coach that is attracting my dream client with my energy. Like, it's like those types of things. And I write it out, think about it every day. But that is exactly how, if you don't start like believing and thinking that you already have what you want, the hardest part is you don't fucking see it. So you're looking around and you're like, ladies, you're like, how does this make any sense? You're telling me to show up like I have it, yet I'm still in this shitty apartment and like, in this bad relationship, or like I don't have the booming business. It doesn't freaking matter. Like, y'all seen my cream suit? I went out and bought a power suit like maybe 2 months ago now. And it was time. Like I was like, I need this. Like I need this because this is what my boss vibe is. This is who I show up as. This is what I'm going to wear to workshops and events and networking events I go to because this is who I am. Have I worn it anywhere yet? No, but I am going to, it's like also it's really hot right now. So it's like selectively choosing it to wear it in like 30-degree humidity. But honestly, it's like I've worn, but I've shown up, I've like created content around it that
Like it's already in your closet,
oh,
right?
it's there.
Yeah, it's there.
It's right in the
Exactly.
front.
Exactly. So it's already there. The energy is already happening. Your life that you want, it's already happening 100%.
And I think as well, like personal branding, it should be fun. And like if you think about like how amazing, and even for me getting this suit, it was like, okay. And where I got a real idea for it was because I did a photo shoot in California and my friend had a silk, it was like beige colored. And it's in my photos, in a bunch of my photos. And she had this amazing suit. She goes, oh my God, I have the perfect suit that we can take photos in. And I put it on and I was like, okay. And I'd already been literally manifesting and thinking about having these power suits of all different colors in my wardrobe. Like I wanted one neutral tone and like different colors. I wrote that out. And here comes this suit. And I was like, okay, when I got back from California, I was like, what the fuck am I waiting for? It's time. Go to the mall, circled around every shop before I made a decision. Then I ended up going into Aritzia. A lovely girl came over and I was like on a mission. And I was like, I'm buying a suit today. She saw I had some pieces and she said, would you allow me to like pick some for you? I was like, gladly. And she's like, you just look around. And she just picked all these things for me. It was so fun. It was the best experience. I felt like a fucking boss. I was like, cause she's like, damn, like you're buying this like suit and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy these pants and that shirt and this and that. And I was like, everything. It just like I walked out of the mall feeling so freaking abundant, feeling so confident and strong. And I like could not wait to now have that. And I'm not joking. I have a clothing rack in my room. I don't have a closet. So I have a clothing rack. It's hung right there. I used to hang it on the back of my door before I put on my clothing rack for whatever reason. I was hanging it on the back of my door. So when I woke up, I saw it. It's like right in front of my face because it's like, yes, that is who I am. Like, and that is my brand, you know?
Exactly. Oh my God, I love this so much. And I love how much the universe delivered the entire experience for you that like you felt like a complete girl boss throughout this experience. Absolutely love it. It's wow, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it was just like, it was so great. Okay, so I know we're getting close to time, but how about I'd love to know how can someone get started? So, let's just say someone's listening. They got their personal page, they've got a side hustle maybe that they want to turn into their business one day. Firstly, start acting like it's your business right now. It's like hilarious. Actually, side note, I was at a Monday Girl event. I was at an event yesterday or 2 days ago, and there's a woman I met there that has a clothing brand, but she works in also like marketing. And so she's telling me about this clothing brand she has. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. She introduced herself to someone else, and I was standing next to her, and they're like, oh, what do you do? She's like, oh, I'm like a marketing specialist for like this company. And I was like, and she has an amazing loungewear brand. I was like, girl, hello. Like, that is what do you want to do for the rest of your life? Do you want to do marketing or do you want to sell your brand? Like, I was like, anyway, how would you say that someone can, get started? So whether they have a personal Instagram right now, they want to transition into a business or just get started with their own personal branding. I imagine maybe some like self-discovery work might need to happen, but what do you suggest? How can they get started?
Oh my God, this is so funny that you asked me today because I just recorded a workshop about how to turn your personal page into a personal brand, like literally this morning. So same wavelength, so I love it.
Amazing.
Let me just overview everything that's going to happen in this 2.5 hour workshop. So basically 100%, two things need to happen: internal work and the external work. Internal work, it's everything that's happening in your brain, of course, because your personal brand, before you can communicate it to other people in their brains, you need to communicate it to yourself first. So first of all, align on your goals. If like that lady, does she want to be known as a marketing specialist or does she want to be known as a founder of this clothing brand? those are very two different personal brands and very two different communities that she can potentially build, and technically very two different money and incomes that she can attract as well using those brands as well. But align on your goals and how you want to be known as, not even at this moment right now, but in the future as well. Because if, for example, if you're a student, I just worked with someone and she's a student and she's like, well, I don't know anything. I'm just like, I'm on my second year of school. I don't want to position myself as a student. It's like, well, yeah, but you're going somewhere. Like and she wants to build her own marketing agency and stuff. Like, this is how you want to position yourself, because you are, to a point, you're attracting to what you're manifesting. So if you want to be known as a marketing specialist, start talking about being a marketing specialist on your own Instagram. So this is the very first step. Align on your goals and align on your key messages. What are the key messages that you want to communicate to your community? Maybe it's a key message that, like, for example, if you want to get into digital product sales, that anyone can sell digital product no matter how many followers they have. And then this is your key message. And think about different stories and different scenarios and different examples of how you can communicate this message. This is basically your entire content strategy right there. You just communicate the same message, just in different formats, in different reels, in different carousels, in different stories, using different stories that happen to you, to your clients, to the people you know, to the conversations that you have. This is it. And that's gonna sound super weird, but must mute anyone who does not support you and whose energy is draining you. If the only reason, and I'm speaking 100% from experience of working with over 50 clients here, if there is somebody on your personal page who you are scared,
triggered by, basically,
like, exactly, like you're getting like weird vibes from, and you're not sure if they can support you, or like there's the only person who like, oh well, but what they're gonna think about me, mute them, or like unfollow them from your account, or hide your stories from them, hide your content, whatever you need to do. Make sure that you feel safe in your digital space. And that sometimes can include muting the people that you think might not support you. But also, like, truly ask yourself, are they actually gonna support you? Because for me, the wildest thing was when I started posting about, and I literally made my very first post like, hey guys, this is what I do. I want to build this business, and like literally tell people what you're doing. You cannot imagine the amount of support that you probably already have in your circle, in your digital circle as well. And you might not even realize it, because we probably think about like the first 5-10 people who are very close to us, but strangers who just maybe follow us, or maybe, you know, like this random girl who you met like 10 years ago on a trip and you still guys follow each other on Instagram, she might care about your success and you might not even know it. Or she is exactly the person who can use your services, but because she doesn't know what you can offer, she doesn't know that you exist in this sense for her. So the very first thing is like, honestly, claim up the space. Make a story, make a reel, and be like, hey guys, this is what I do now. This is the business that I want to build, or this is this is the service that I want to provide, and this is what I want to do. And like actually make it like a before and after post, that every single post that's going to come after that is going to be related to the brand positioning that you are trying to build, not just using your Instagram as a fun memory book that, you know, we just post for our relatives. So honestly, and it sounds like a very like mindset strategies that you need to do, because it is. Because if you could have done it if you could have done it by yourself without the internal strategy mind work, you would have done it a long time ago. But building your personal brand and transitioning your personal page to a personal brand first comes with you accepting that this is a role now, and start posting coming from this role.
I love this. This is amazing. And like, great points, to determine what your goals are, who you want to be known as, figure out those key messages. And you're totally right. Like it reminds me, I'm pumping out content every day, and I have key things I do talk on, but it's almost like, man, I just gotta go back like a month. Like I need to go back a month and look at what I post. That can all be repurposed, right? In carousels, in reels, in this and that. Like it's like, yeah, that is definitely a pointer for me. And I love that, like muting, as I wrote down, non-supporters. Like you do not need any dream killers, like seriously. And I think one thing that I see, even in communities I'm in, people say, oh, my following's dropped or this or that. And it's like, firstly, we get so wrapped up in metrics. And Daria, I would love to do an IG live with you, and let's like do one to talk about some of the about the numbers piece
Oh,
of
yes, let's
Instagram,
do
because
it.
we didn't dive into it here, but I think that will be really powerful because, if you're losing followers, it's creating space for aligned people. If you have a business page, my page is my business. It's like I don't care if my friends follow it. I don't care. I will only want to get eyes. The only eyes I want on it are my dream clients. And the other thing too is most of them aren't commenting or liking necessarily. It's like people like to watch and consume, and they may not say anything. So patience is key, but mute those non-followers, clean up your Instagram. I did a major audit of my Instagram. So when I open it, it's really inspiring. Like I don't have anything on there that is like some dumb, silly accounts I used to follow, but they could be negative. I'm like, I don't need that energy. Oh my gosh, this was just so much incredible information. Thank you so much. I will have all of your information below, any links and things. So, depending on that workshop, we can definitely make sure we get the link. I don't know when you're offering it or what's happening, but if that's available, we'll be sure to include that link. Otherwise, you can find Daria's Instagram link. You can go find her. You can follow her. Go follow her. She's amazing. And maybe she's the perfect coach for you. So, Daria, thank you for being
Thank you so
here.
much, Jane. I really appreciate it. Such an incredible podcast, and what an incredible communities that you have built around your personal brand. And I absolutely love it. And you're up 100% right. There is so much inspiring energy coming out of your page. So you're just the best.
Ah, that's so kind. It's work, so anyone listening, there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes. And, I just stay hopeful and I have my eyes on the prize of what I'm creating, and I'm showing up like it's already there. So that's amazing. Thank you again.